Welcome everyone to this live stream, in case we are live, depending on how long we are live. And I wanted for quite some time already to install some Ubuntu or whatever on the Sony Vaio P, for the simple reason that I also wanted to reverse engineer this graphics here. This is Intel Atom, however, as I pointed out in the review, this set series Atom C of back in the day, a decade ago, they had not Intel graphics, I mean a little bit stupid, but Power VR from Imagination technology. Power VR of course also used in many smartphones and whatnot. And what is, well, I find this really stupid that Intel has done this, but maybe they really wanted so low power and their Intel graphics was just so much more high power anyway. A little bit hilarious in all things considered, but what is the real big problem is that we never had open source drivers. For everyone following the smartphone and tablet stuff probably has seen this. And yeah, eventually to actually have a chance here to, why is this even slightly different than usual? Anyway, whatever. And yeah, to reverse engineer this, so certainly you have seen me, so in the very original review, if you're interested, I made a dedicated review video about this already quite some half a year or longer ago. And aside from this, I also probably have shown this running Linux already, I guess at least. And I finally installed Ubuntu, so for all new to this channel, of course, I run my own Linux distribution, Rock Linux from Clifford Wolf back in the day, that now it's known as T2, the system development environment. And you might wonder, why am I, as a unsuccessful one-man distribution guy, installing here Ubuntu for the sheer sake of reverse engineering, obviously. And yeah, one thing I wanted to point out, not only did this, by the way, this is not my USB stick, I'm not in this kind of stuff, just run out of USB sticks, so anyway, don't ask. Anyway, so, but maybe you're a fan of this and then whatever, but not a paid advertisement. So one thing, I copied the ISO, this is an old version of Ubuntu. The next thing with binary only drivers, right, and why we hate them with the passion here, that there's just this Ubuntu version, and then, yeah, not even too many versions. Also, fun fact, I don't have this on anyway. So, of course, this binary only, as so often, only works with one very specific Ubuntu version. So I installed here some old piece of garbage, 9.10.11 whatsoever something. And for some stuff, I'm not the most impressed. So not only I followed first of all, I'm not the greatest fan, which by the way, I could show this here. Pulsbo G500 Linux driver to, oops, maybe this one, maybe not, no, there was another. Anyway, if you take a look, do I even have a video capture of, I thought so, wait a second. This is very clever. Okay, can't switch to, why is here, this is why, this was the wrong video device, can't make this up. Let's see if we hopefully maybe can switch, or do we break? Can't switch, but don't break the video. Anyway, so here's, of course, you find many guides. I don't need to go over this. The problem is, I think there were like, the situation is also so bizarre that there were like two different open source, not open source, two binary only drivers, like one Intel contracted by some company, Tungsten Graphics or whoever that was. And so there are two different, and then yeah, the other is Intel from the Intel embedded integrated, but one doesn't even have much really. So why do I do this? I want to reverse engineer this eventually a little bit more. And for this, I obviously need some reference. You have seen why do we do all the other previous videos, of course, to show you how hard it is. And I would even, what would it even be, 3D or something here? Even Google should have saved this from earlier. Placebo, no, Pulsbo, can't make this placebo up. There would be... anyway, so because of this, I could also have used Windows, but I was hoping that it's at least somewhat more comfortable to reverse engineer this with Linux. So some things said here. The situation is crazy. Even in Windows, I have another device with this Intel GMA500, but more to this maybe in another video. But back in the day, even the Intel driver on Windows was slightly buggy and even had graphic artifacts. So some things so first of all, I followed their instruction and this was not booting, right? So wasted an hour, 2 decade long Linux distribution kernel developer, and then follow the instructions. Also, I wanted to point out they have some application, but I just didn't feel like installing some. I really hate this, like loading some application just to flash and write this ISO to an USB stick. Anyway, so long story short, what I have ended up doing then is I booted with my other flexible T2 stick here, where I have all kinds of other stuff, and used this as EFI boot entry point, and then edited the command line manually and had this on this and dumped with DD, copied the ISO image one by one here, dumped this on this, and then booted from this, EFI, edited the command line for kernel and initRD, and then, because previously I even tried this with writing this to a FAT partition, but even then the stupid live scripts didn't find their live partition. So I installed this already. It's not the most impressed with this Ubuntu stuff here in general, but who would be surprised about that? One thing this is, by the way, doesn't show, maybe not the MAC address. Anyway, I wanted to point out how slow this is, right? And this is why we want hardware accelerated graphics. If you say, yeah, but why do you not run just with software? Yeah, this is how software blitting looks, and this is even why I'm considering my own graphics stack, because I'm really getting extremely tired with this Linux stuff or open source. Not only Linux, but low battery power. No, should like 60 minutes remaining maybe. Should be full, but whatever. And this is also so slow. Not only is the software rendering passes there extremely well, not high performance, but additionally, you see here I already opened this. Well, by the way, and okay, selections actually, but yeah, scrolling, you name it, you certainly never want to work here. Even the menu drawing looks slowish, right? So this is, if you do software, you can even watch the menus being drawn here, in my opinion, extremely well. It is only 2 gigahertz, well, only 2 gigahertz in order Atom goodness, but hey, dual threaded, hyper threaded, 2 gigahertz, and yeah, I mean, you can navigate it, but certainly you would expect a 486 on Windows 3.11 to be that slow, maybe. One reason this is also so particularly slow, and I noticed this already from the other device I had, the other GMA500 device from back in the day, that I hope this is, yeah, the display 1600 by something. I wonder actually if this is a correct resolution. Let's maybe render that. And that looks like, no, wait a second, screen minimum current. Yeah, no, this is the right resolution, I think. And yeah, of course, a little bit high resolution, but yeah, whatever. But the reason this is so super slow, you see here with this MTRR, I output it here, proc MTR memory type range register. This was introduced somewhat with around Pentium or something of that sort. I could actually look this up. And what this is doing is specifying cache control, meaning that this, you can mark different memory regions here. So this is write back caching here, all the base 0 to gigabyte, and then there's something uncached, and that is of course super totally slow. Uncached meaning like totally uncached. And what you would normally do, what this was introduced, just checking here which processor, something like Pentium Pro or something. But of course, as usual, even if you look this up on Wikipedia, so Cyrix actually here, it's, yeah, Pentium Pro, starting with the P6 family, Pentium Pro, so yeah, 686 thing. If you never knew about this, that is what that is here about. And normally you would actually set this to write combining here for the frame buffer, because so right now the frame buffer it is similar. Slow, wait a second, since when do we have this board there on? Hope I didn't show this most of the time. Anyway, so much to not being in your office. And yeah, I'm not really sure. Maybe this is a general GMA500 thing. And there you see thousands of developers, Ubuntu, Debian, Fedora, SUSE, and yet back in the day I modified our T2 to default differently here. And yeah, so you see unsuccessful Win distribution, that is T2, where this stuff was tweaked to work better, because then at least it is a write combining, meaning uncached, of course, all the memories uncached, and you want write combining, meaning all the single writes are then combined to more high performance bursts of data over the PCI bus, and that can improve performance on the video stuff quite significantly. Why don't you do this for all the normal memory? That is for atomic reasons. All the thread locking semaphores and futexes and stuff, you need to have some very strict guarantees there for the memory. This is why you can't write combine all your memories. It would break all the symmetric multiprocessing parallel execution there, for caching too aggressively and the writes not appearing on the other CPU cores and stuff like that. So yeah, this is why you only want to have this for very specific vast like frame buffer regions on the PCI bus. And as seen on some other live stream later, Intel, because this memory type range register was a little bit, yeah, you see very not very fine-grained, and later processors also had a page attribute table where you could do this on a page level, but I think, not even sure if you, anyway, not really sure. I would not expect this kernel to make use of this. We could certainly theoretically check for this, but as slow as it is, it's probably not making use of this. Also, we could actually try to restart. Now I wonder, what I'm also not the greatest fan of, and T2 is not doing this well. T2 doesn't have such super slow, amazing, super fast, amazing graphic, right? T2, of course, not having a textual installer, but T2 is also in general not doing this, just overwriting the bootloader. Totally not a fan of that. So I'm not even sure what this has installed now. Please remove the disk and close the tray, if any, and press enter. What the heck? No restart. Because I'm not even sure. As usual, I always try non-standard stuff, and I'm not even sure if Ubuntu like to install like this, because I only gave it one installation. Yeah, okay, thank you very much, Ubuntu. You clobbered my installation there. Stuff that I really hate, although it has here. Yeah, also, I mean, it left here Windows Vista, which is which came with it. Not a great fan of that, but it also didn't ask me here at all of anything, and so it clobbered here my EFI boot stuff. I hope it didn't delete T2, which probably we could theoretically check here with, does it ls, or I don't know what was the yeah, XFS, yeah, unknown file system. So I hope it apparently left this there. I was careful there. This is, you do something for reverse engineering on YouTube and then you lose your Linux. So yeah, thank you Ubuntu for deleting all of that. I would have actually preferred this bloody stuff is doing nothing, and I would have booted this here manually, but whatever, yeah, 2631 super old kernel crap. This is also the drawback of binary only stuff. We have this not only for this GMA500, but also the Epiphane capture dongle stuff there, where I now need very specific kernel, and in general, even if we would want to reverse other stuff, the PowerVR and the Kuro 2 there, AGP PCI, that we have there, and in general why I'm not a fan of binary only stuff in general. So yeah, of course I will not use this, although I will probably, maybe I will Frankenstein transfer this to T2 just to leave the kernel. Well, it's of course totally sucks totally to have such an old kernel here. The test password for this is test, by the way, you don't need to read that, just if it works. And so even this, of course, hello, can we do something? This, of course, is still not the right driver, right? So I need to add some very specific repository for this stupid this PPA stuff of packages. And yeah, let's hope that better works. Otherwise, all the time would be mostly for nothing. But we will certainly, if you're new to this channel, more reverse engineering and low-level stuff. And why did I prepare here a little bit in terms of the previous low-level VGA stuff? So quite some fun stuff to come. And yeah, also, why do I live stream this to YouTube? Not also to give you some background and how much time everything takes in just installing this. Of course, I sometimes installed Ubuntu, but with the virtual machine, this is of course so much snappier. Just QEMU-CD-ROM your ISO there, or dash enable KVM, but on real hardware when you actually mostly wanted to use this. By the way, I think the battery level, I thought it should be mostly charged, so I'm actually not sure if that is right. But anyway, I now add this PPA stuff and see how that is going. Certainly, I will give you an update maybe in an hour or two if this hopefully worked. There was actually... Routine also works a little bit, but not fully, right, with the binary only crap there. So I specifically took the only totally super old version that at least works, well, fully, sort of fully, like with video acceleration and let's see, was it here? And yeah, you get then, yeah, no, I should have, yeah, it's a little bit annoying, should have tested my camera setup. You get many tutorials here of 3D acceleration, GMA, EM, so EMGD is some embedded something, but I'm not sure if that has, what, you know, optimized for Windows. Yeah, not the greatest fun. Where did I even see? I've done this on my other machine. Now I'm obsolete, Pulsbo, obsolete. Here, obsolete drivers. Already the right title for that. Obviously, and here's a graphical overview for that. And was it even that? Yeah, here you see. Actually, I think I previously was maybe on another website. Anyway, here you see this bloody, actually, interestingly, this EMGD driver had 3D apparently. So this was, so I've installed, what did I install now even? 9 point something. Actually, I'm surprised, I was on another site, I'm surprised that this is something, but I wanted to specifically, well, the problem is of course also nobody writes about the performance. And it's actually indeed another site that I was on. I'm actually surprised. Yeah, you see even here bad like and not applicable, and yeah, but this is also 2638. So yeah, nothing of this stuff here is amazing, and why probably you better understand where I'm coming from when I'm telling you that binary only drivers are not amazing. Anyway, you get the idea. Stream gets too long. Doesn't make much sense to just look up this one little thing there. I add this PPA stuff, probably better not to do everything live here and better tune in later for some update. Otherwise, it's probably a little bit boring to watch a random trying around. Of course, reverse engineering, this will be a huge effort. Not even really sure how I will tackle this. If I probably the best would be to not run a full X server with Display Manager, but just some examples, drawing lines and 3D triangles and memory I/O, MMIO trace, capture all the writes there, or either will disassemble the all the driver stuff. But yeah, in my opinion, this is also, people should never buy this. I of course brought this only used and not new, exactly for that reason. And I would prefer more people vote with a wallet. Also, I intentionally did not buy this overpriced miniature machine there back in the day first hand, just because I didn't want to vote with my wallet buying into something that I'm now will barely ever work properly with Linux. Also, fun fact, it had here some Linux quick start stuff, which, yeah, actually the battery is blinking. I probably should plug this in. Really need to stop here now. And yeah, it has here some quick, probably this or something, button should trigger some Linux. Unfortunately, the previous owner wiped this and freshly installed Windows Vista or something. I really would love to have this quick start email internet Linux thing there, which was Linux based, but yeah, it wasn't there anymore, and I didn't find this there on the download. Yeah, hope you learned something and enjoyed this, and I hope to see you soon for the next stuff to come.